Have you been researching the Detroit real estate market and the questions popped up in your mind maybe that there's too many houses, there's too many foreclosures, and there's too many properties selling at too inexpensive a price to sell my property once I buy it and fix it up and I'm looking to turn my profit. If that's the case, I want to show you a few things so that you can understand really what's going on in the Detroit market and why I continue to buy property and why I think it's a great investment for investors that like to buy and hold their property, collect rental income, possibly refinance and get their cash back if that's what they want to do, keep the property, keep the cash flow. And the main reason is because it's really basic supply and demand. If you've been researching real estate investing for any period of time, you know that real estate is basically going to sell for the price that people are willing to pay for it. And that sounds simple enough, but when you add $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 houses, showing up as comps in the same neighborhood that you're investing in, you can't help but to wonder how it's going to be possible to sell your property either to a first-time home buyer or maybe to another investor. And what you should be asking yourself is, how does supply and demand work? And one of the key principles is that if we could eliminate all of the supply and increase the demand, obviously the prices would go up. When you have to look at all of the boarded up houses and all of the bank-owned properties that are actually going for sale, about 50%, some estimate even more than that, closer to 60% of the properties in the Detroit economy are in such distressed condition that not even an investor would purchase the property because the amount of rehab that it will take to get the property in a rentable condition would just far exceed the value of the property as far as an investor is concerned. Now there are some first-time home buyers that may be willing to purchase a property for 5-10 grand and put the 50, 60, 70,000 into it that's necessary to get it in a really nice condition. But the problem with those individuals, they typically don't have cash or access to private lenders, and so their traditional FHA lenders are not going to allow them to buy a property that needs work done. It's not how it works. They want something that's already fixed up. It's less risk for the lender. So that's where we come in. We purchase these properties, and talking about supply and demand, if you estimate that about half of them will never be in a position for an investor to deal with or a first-time home buyer to deal with, then you're only looking at about half the boarded up properties. And when you break it down to a very specific neighborhood like we're investing in, you can find some amazing deals for under $30,000 that maybe need $10,000, $15,000 in repairs. And you can easily afford to get these in a habitable condition, Section 8, property management, and make sure that they're rented out, collect your cash flow, and there's plenty of lenders that allow you to refinance so long as you show that you've added value to the property by fixing it up. Now there are still going to be some boarded up properties in these neighborhoods, so it'd be best to invest where there are no board ups right next to you across the street, and preferably on that entire block. Sometimes if you're willing to buy more than one property at once, you can buy 2 or 3 properties in one block, fix them up, rent it out, and improve the value of the entire neighborhood. This is one of the things that I'm looking at doing personally and has worked well for us in the past. However, people in this market and in this economy in Detroit, they're used to looking at boarded up properties. Now, it's not going to be that way forever, but in the meantime, it's not going to deter most of the buyers that live in a big city like Detroit. They understand that that's something that happens even when the economy was better for the rest of the United States. What you have to consider is that you're buying at rock bottom. And so while you're listening to this audio, I'm scrolling down. This is a Trulia real estate search. I just pulled up recently sold properties with no price adjustments or anything. Just recently sold in the 48224 zip code. You can see all the listings over here that'll pop up. Properties are selling right now. June 3rd, June 2nd, 92,000, 76,000, 79,000, 102,000, 108,000, 20,000. There are still some cheap properties, like I said, 143,000. We're getting some great comps, and there's tons of pages of these. I didn't sort it from price. I sorted it by dates sold. And if you look at the next window that I'm actually going to look at, hopefully you can see this here. Let me see if I can fit it in the window. Essentially, these properties are basically the same neighborhood, but this is on Zillow. And now that I got it on the screen here, you can see 129,000, 30,000, 92,000, 235,000. These are all very, very recent comps that are in this area. You can pull it up by going to Trulia or Zillow. And the thing is you're going to see some properties in there that are a little bit cheaper than you'd probably like to see as far as having perfect environment for investing. But then again, we wouldn't be getting at these prices. So take that into consideration, do your own due diligence, and as always, visit incomepropertynow.com.